minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city. I got you. Rep your city. I'm gonna tell you not mine. Rep your city.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me. Feeling this music cause it makes me wanna step. And if you don't want to, then you lying to yourself. Cause every time we party, we gon' have fun. I don't know about you, but I'ma rep where I'm from.
Rep your city. Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city.
Welcome to the RYC Live show this evening. How's everyone doing out there? My name is Artistic. I'm your host for tonight. And this is RYC Live Rep Your City Fresh Fridays. So we have our special guest in the backstage area. And as some of you may know, he was featured in a film from 1984 by the name of Beach Street, right? So keep your places locked and loaded. Before we bring them out, we just like to say, please share this broadcast, share this broadcast to a friend, to a family member, or a crewmate, and keep it locked and loaded. Engage with us tonight. We're going to have a great discussion. We're going to talk about the legendary film that came out in 1984 called Beach Street. And we have the one and only, the man himself, Mr. Ramo. Yes, y'all. I cannot believe this. And I just want to say this for the record right now. I was a big fan, and I'm still a big fan of that movie. It's one of my favorite hip-hop movies of all time. I liked Wild Style, and I liked all the hip-hop movies, the great ones that highlighted the culture. But Beach Street ideally was my favorite. It was my favorite. And believe it or not, Ramo was one of my favorite characters in the film. Yes, indeed. Specifically because he was a graffiti artist. Okay. Now, of course, I loved all the B-boys because I was a B-boy too. But to have a graffiti artist featured in a major motion picture film highlighting the subway art at that time was epic. It was epic. And I have to say that Ramo played his part to the T. Painting those trains, making those, as he say, I make them trains look beautiful. Just classic. I know that movie like the back of my hand. I've watched it many times, and it is just definitely a classic film. If any of you all out there have not seen the film Beach Street, go check it out right now. But without further ado, we have our brother, the one and only. His real name is John Chardiet, but he went by the name Ramo in the film. So let's bring him out and let's talk about this movie. There he is. Okay, I think you have to unmute your.
How's that?
Yeah, that's it.
So nice to finally meet you, and thank you for your kind words, man. Really, man.
Yes. Thank you. So are you using your cell phone?
Yes, I'm using my cell phone. Just.
Looks like we might have lost him temporarily, but hopefully he'll be back shortly. I know he was having some challenges, but y'all know how we do. We try to work through the problems and make the best of a bad situation. But yeah, I'm sitting here in the studio on this Friday night. A nice little cool breeze is coming through the office or the studio window. And, we have the one and only Ramo on the set with us here. So I cannot wait. As soon as he comes back in, we're going to get right into the interview. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how's everyone doing out there tonight? Hope everyone's doing great. Okay, looks like he's coming back in.
Apologies. I don't know. Let me just keep it in one place. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Tell me, when was the first time you saw the movie?
I seen the movie the same month it came out, in June of 1984.
Fantastic. And where did you see it?
I seen it here in Chicago.
Fantastic. Do you remember the theater?
Yes, it was a mall called Evergreen Plaza on the south side of Chicago. And at that time, they showed a lot of films. So when the movie Beat Street came out, I begged my mother to take me to go see it. In fact, she actually dropped me and my girlfriend at the time off to the movies. And, it's probably why we didn't make it, because I paid no attention to her. I focused strictly on the film.
You watched the movie. Wow. That's so cool. Any one thing I want to mention, and we were talking about, is how, like, the electrocution scene, how much that took, and how they turned off the third rail, and how that all the people were such experts, and they really made a lot of those things. We spoke about the expertise that went into it. It was amazing, all of it. The performers, to me, are, I was fortunate to be with the originators and people that burned up a room, so I'm very thankful and very grateful to have been in it. It was just a great experience.
Okay. So what I like to do is go all the way back to, now let me ask you, have you ever starred in any other films before Beat Street?
No, I had not.
Okay.
No, it was my first film.
Okay. So let's talk about that, how that came to be with you getting the chance to be casted in that film. How did that all start?
Well, yeah, thank you. I was lucky. I went to Performing Arts, which is the FAME High School, and I went to State University of New York at Purchase, which is an acting program. So when I got out, I had gone to school with Gina, and her dad saw me in a cabaret. He knew me for years, and when it was going on, I went in and I auditioned for the casting people, and they sent me to the general auditions. And I walked out to do an act. I made up some kind of, like an actor, they told me, oh, do something nuts. So I went there ready to go, and I saw what people were doing. And I said, no, don't even try. Just, this is not, these folks are precise. This is not what you think it is. And it was amazing to me. And then I got another call. I said, did you make it? And I said, well, no, it didn't work out. There were so many people there. And they said, well, we want you to come in for the role of Ramo. And I didn't even think that's what they wanted. I thought they wanted me to do this kind of Andy B. Bad. That's what they sent me up, the casting people sent me up for Andy B. Bad, basically. And I would have been very bad. It would have been bad. I was amazed, too, the dedication to discipline and the kind of focus that everybody had was very, because I came from a performing background, all of that was very fascinating to me. Okay. Elements, that was great. So
okay. Wow. So that's interesting. So when you got the script, did you think you were going to be able to do it at the time when they showed you, or did they show you a script in the beginning?
Yeah, when I got the role, I got the script, and that became the process of, looking at the character and doing all the things I had been trained to do for years, and looking at those things and starting the character work and starting to try and become and come up to his speed, and And what a great way to start. I was very fortunate. I really loved doing it, you know.
Now, how long did it take you in the process to kind of develop that character?
You know, I had seen a lot of guys. It's a great question because I'd seen and known a lot of guys, and they were artists who were on kind of the fringe of things, and they had this fierce dedication to their craft that was underneath what people would say. Because I went to school with classical players and jazz players and actors and dancers, both in high school and college, you know, high school for performing arts. So, when I looked at that, I said, okay, what people have I known that were artists that had that kind of thing where they would fight? And then being with everybody in the cast was really the best part of it.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that really schooled me.
Okay.
And Robert Taylor, watching Robert, who has this quiet, fierce, just a great presence, and all the breakers, I was like, oh man, you know, that was the best way to learn a character, you know. And I'm from New York, so you know I was familiar with elements of it, but I had never seen anything like I saw when I walked into that, you know.
Wow.
That place. Nothing, and I'd seen a lot of performances, great performances too.
Right.
Totally original, and it blew my mind. I'll tell you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I for that to have been your first film, man, that you could not tell. You could not tell. You look like you had already had some other movies under your belt.
Thank you.
And because you really played that character very well. I mean, like in my mind, I was like, you were a graffiti artist. You know what I'm saying? And at one point, I was like looking for you because you know, like there was a book that came out that same year, 1984, called Subway Art, and it was published by a photographer who was living in New York at the time by the name of Henry Chiffant. And he used to document the subway cars, him and another lady named Martha Cooper.
Oh, wow.
And they documented a lot of the subway cars. Yeah. And they published a book in 1984 called Subway Art. So inside the book, they would highlight a lot of the graffiti artists that was doing all this artwork in New York City. And so, you know, it would tell you the name that they used to use when they put the artwork up, and, you know, and it would show some of their work. So, you know, you got a chance to kind of study what they were doing through that book. And so, you know, when you had the character Ramo, I was just like, you played the role so well. I was like, well, you know, what part of New York is he from? And you know, like, you know, and then when I found out, I'm like, oh, he's just an actor. And I was like, an actor? I'm like, he looked like a graffiti artist.
Thank you. You know, thank you very much. I had a good teacher, and I practiced diligently so that I would come up to the occasion. And you know, when we first started this and we talked about this, it's something very inspiring to me. Mr. Belafonte came to me and he told me, listen, he said, you better work hard. You better be practicing that art and practicing that tag every day. He says, you see these guys? And this is after I knew where I was. He said, they'll gobble you up. You better be good, because they are. And I was like, you're right. I have to rise to this occasion. You know, got to work hard on, and I worked hard. I don't know, man. I kept on painting. And then finally, when we did the scene, it was in streaks and tips. And if you look at, you know what I mean? So but we did paint that subway car. So it was fun.
Man, that was just amazing, bro. And we were trying to imitate a lot of the scenes that you had in that film. Believe it or not, a lot of guys were trying to imitate what they were seeing in that movie. Wow. Because it was, we knew it was a real life thing going on in New York City, but you know, obviously, you know, unless you were in New York City with those young people that were doing the artwork at the time, you couldn't have that same experience. And so we kind of lived through that. Wow. by that movie. You know.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
And you wrote, right?
Yes.
Do you write?
Yes, I do. I don't do any illegal work anymore. But like now, I mean, you don't really have to because now there are a lot of permission laws to be done. But back then, when the movement was beginning, everything was done illegally. So and everybody was making a name for themselves, and so like I told you, my uncle was in the he was in the military. He was under the branch office of the Air Force, and I remember I think early on when he went in, at one time they had green jackets.
Mhm.
So, he had the green jacket sitting in the house, that he had stopped wearing. And so one day I'm going through the closet because, you were one of my favorite characters in the film. And I'm
Thank
going
you.
through the closet and I'm like, I pull out the green jacket and I'm like, man, this looks like Ramo's jacket. And then I'm like, oh, this is my uncle's jacket. And then I put the jacket on and I'm like, oh, so that became my jacket, and I tried to carry myself around like yourself, man, from the film, because and then I lived about 10 minutes away from the train yard. So a lot of the stuff that you were doing in that film, man, it was a big influence for not just me, but a lot of other graffiti artists.
Thank you. I think the thing is, it's so wonderful because he really holds the ethic of he's saying, we do it makes us alive. When I'm bombing trains, I feel alive.
Yes.
And, I think in this world, we have to remember that, if you're doing something, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. Just if it gives you a kick and it's something positive. So often we start thinking, oh, I'm going to compare myself to this one or that one, and it doesn't really matter. It's the most important thing is that you're doing it.
Yeah. And I think too, with the big screen, because Beat Street and the other film Breaking, that was the first time that we began to see them talk about hip hop culture on the big screen. And so even though we were living it on the streets, but we were just young kids, and most people didn't pay no attention to us other than when they would walk past and see us dancing on the streets or whatever. But once the movie it got into the market of the movies, it's like, wow, people are paying attention to us on that level now, and now we can see some of our peers on the big screen. It was just like, wow,
Incredible, and I don't know when the last time you saw it, because they recolorized it. I just saw it at the Tribeca Film Festival at the 40th, and which was amazing. And it is so colorful.
Yeah.
And it is so it looks like a living, breathing, at points, cartoon. People are defying gravity. People are doing these acts, and I saw it with fresh eyes. I was like, wow. Yeah. I've seen it many times, and it never ceases to amaze me the way that there's so much heart there with the performers and the whole thing in that room when it's just so wonderful to see. And when you see it with the colors enhanced, wow, it's a trip.
Okay. Well, I probably haven't seen that particular version, but let's see here. Actually, so I have my own personal DVD copy here.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I gotta come to Chicago. So, yeah, man, we gotta go out and bomb some of those walls.
And so, I will watch the film pretty often. Probably, I think the last time I might have watched it was maybe about a month ago. But I used to watch the film regularly. And in fact, I would actually watch it sometimes when I was kind of down. If I was a little discouraged or whatever that was going on, I could put on the movie Beat Street and my spirits would be lifted.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. I mean, it's a brave story,
Yeah. And the lady Mary Alice,
yes,
who played Kenny and Lee's mom, she's actually from Chicago.
That's right.
Yeah.
What a storied actress, just a marvelous performer. And when we did that scene with her, everything. Everything followed her. She set the tone. We just followed.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to do anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
We just had to be in there because she was so good, so real. I
Yeah.
love it when she's ironing, she's watching like Jane Fonda and she starts doing those moves. It's like so good, man. I just love watching it now and hearing it. Or when Robert goes and Leon's at the door and he says, here's the knife. He says, who goes there?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. When I heard that on the set,
Uh-huh.
I bust out laughing. And when Leon said, who goes there, little brother? I couldn't stop laughing. I was so entertained. I never expected that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Robert, man, a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And she set the tone. When she came in the room, I can't tell you what it's like working with the greats because they elevate your performance.
Wow.
And
Wow.
she really was one that did that.
That
Lucky.
that must have been a really great, like you say, experience to work with people such as her and Harry Belafonte.
Yes.
That just in itself for Harry to even take the initiative to want to do something and related to hip hop because that wasn't necessarily his background. But I remember seeing the interview. He said that he could relate because he was from New York as well.
That's right.
So he can relate, to I guess young people with creative talent.
Yes, and he loved hip hop.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
was astounded by it, and he told me he said he wanted to put it on film before it got co-opted and wound up in a McDonald's commercial. I'm
Wow.
paraphrasing, but
Right.
that's what he told me.
That's
And
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
what a man and what a great human being, and I'm just honored to have been chosen by him and to have gotten the chance. He was a strict taskmaster.
Okay.
So Guy Davis reminded me of a story where Guy had his guitar and Harry and we were messing around doing like Western swing, like Sons of the Pioneers. We were singing and playing some like South of the Border down Mexico way by Dean Martin. And Harry was like, put that guitar away. He told me, get back to your book, start practicing. To
Wow.
that, words to that effect. He was serious. He really told me to practice, and to hold my art and not to get distracted by all the stuff that was happening around me. And that was a real lesson, a real
Okay.
wonderful lesson to learn. It's a great guy.
Well, what we like to do is, strangely enough, there are some people that have never seen the film. Okay. And so, tonight, for anyone that's watching, obviously, I'm not going to show the whole film, but I'm just going to show a little clip. This is actually the clip of
The
you.
battle?
No, this is the subway clip of you painting the train.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I like to show this, and then perhaps we could talk a little bit about it afterwards. Okay.
Great. Love it.
All right. Let's check it out.
There it is. Take this off, will you? Do that filling in red, okay? Okay. on. Let's go do the other side. Man, you got to be kidding. Ramo! You hear something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Guy Davis, man, how good is he?
Oh my gosh.
Um,
You know,
wow.
just watching that just takes me right back there again, you know.
So yeah, thank you. Yeah. What a great, wow, man. Yeah, man. So much, so cool to do it, and so many things that, it was shot on film. So, and they had a dolly, they pushed the dolly on the tracks, and we ran, uh, and then they rigged up just the third rail. They had all these things they did. It was so much expertise.
So was that actually in the actual train yard where they
Yes.
shot that? Wow.
And they turned off this, what is it? I think 700, 800 volts.
Okay.
And so I loved doing that. It was so, they put this flame retardant on the back of my head,
Uh-huh.
and there was an excellent team of stunt guys, and Spit was a famous stunt guy, as we
Okay.
talked about that. He's in The Mechanic, and he with Charles Bronson, he's the guy that drives the motorcycle off of the cliff there,
Okay.
the Leonagnos, and he had a stunt company out here. So I was in good hands.
Right.
And then they had a very storied guy, and I'll have to get his name for the next interview. I hope we're going to do more than one. Then he was in Taxi Driver, this guy, and you see him in the scenes where they're having the breaking battle, and he runs in. He's one of the cops, short and kind of dark hair. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Famous stunt dude.
Yeah.
Storied guy. So I was in good hands with those guys.
Yeah.
And they took good care of me and made sure, and they walked me through everything. It was a fascinating process. That's the thing, you see the level of expertise there. I got electrocuted on the same track that Robert Shaw got electrocuted on in the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, if you remember the original.
Oh wow.
And by the same guys. So that's a big honor for me, because he's one of my favorite actors. The original is one of my favorite movies, with Hector Elizondo and Charles Durning and Kenneth McMillan and Walter Matthau, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so good. Martin Balsam, I think. Yeah, and so I got electrocuted by the same guys.
Well, I gotta just say, man, because like I said, I mean, the movie came out in 1984, and it's 2024, and I can still watch that, and it doesn't lose a beat. Like your performance throughout all the scenes was electrifying. I mean,
Thank you.
you the way you handled the can, what we call can control.
Yeah,
You can tell a good artist versus someone that's not so good just
yeah,
by the way they handle the can,
yeah.
and the way you handled that can just on that scene there showed that you trained you trained well and you handled that like a pro because and then the directions that you gave, like what we call fill-ins, you do an outline first, and
Feelings. That's right.
and
Yeah,
then
I worked on that.
yeah, and then but since you had
Thank
help,
you.
you told him to do that and fill it in red, you know, so you do all of that before you put up your last, what is called the main outline, you
That's
know.
right.
And so, I mean, and then the way it does, the way they did it in the film to where you start off and then they edit it and then it go to the actual coming to a completion. And then after you do one side, you say, "Come on, let's go do the other side." And he like, "Man, you've got to be kidding." And to me, that's how a lot of, again, that was based on reality because that's how a lot of the writers were doing it in New York. They were doing whole trains, you know.
That's right. That's right. Like Dondi and all those guys that were doing those beautiful, those beautiful murals on the side of a train.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember I saw one roll in, and it was Dondi, and it
yes,
was rolling into 86th Street in Lex. I was a kid. I mean, I was, before I did Beat Street,
right,
and I was like, "Wow, this
yeah,
is so." All it just was like watching a living cartoon. Like I love the cartoons, but it was somehow it had this kind of, essence to it. Like Ralph Bakshi, that artist, funkiness, kind of groove to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Definitely New York, and definitely very different from other offerings.
yeah,
Themes and really really fascinating.
yeah,
Lucky to have been there when that came by, and I was lucky there too because I remembered that it was a good inspiration for me to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And you know
yeah.
who one of my favorite writers from New York at the time, and still to this day, was a guy named Scene.
Oh my,
Seen.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be seen. I think that's who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was just gonna say that's who you reminded me of
that's
because
who I'm supposed to be.
he was my favorite graffiti artist, and you had
Yeah,
so many characteristics like him,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you kind of favored him a little,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I remember. Yeah, that's right.
because
Yeah,
look, he wore a green jacket too,
that's
you know.
right. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, so so it was just a lot of parallels with that film that just, and then my favorite b-boys or breakers were the New York City Breakers. So
Incredible. How do in the innovators?
right. I used to be in their fan club in the same year that Beat Street came out. They would send me stuff in the mail, and so I was bent on them. I was a big fan of theirs, and for them to be featured in the film as well, it was, you just couldn't get no better than that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first time I saw them define gravity, and I'm thinking like it looks like there's a motor.
Yeah,
They're twirling so fast and doing this stuff. And I had seen lots of gymnastics and pilates and dance and all kinds of tumbling. I had always gone to the circus. I'd never seen anything like it. And I was astounded. I was like, what? How are they moving? How are they still moving? And
yes.
I must confess that I tried to spin on my knee. So I would spin around on my knee, in my room to practice, but I did my best to just try and see what that would be like.
Yeah.
I still love the up rock stuff too. I love all of it.
Okay. Now
I love the subway battle, that sub battle cry. That's that, man. That is so fresh.
so let
That
me ask,
battle.
you, was, let me see, how can I say this? Because again, like I say, the way the picture was painted, And I think that's really what made the movie special, because it did have a lot of people that were actually participants in the culture. Not everybody was just an actor,
That's
so that
right.
it gave a lot of authenticity to the film.
Yes, it did.
You know, and you know, I think that's really where it's just, you know, how sometimes you could see people portraying something, you know, and they may or may not do it well, but then you just say, oh, it's just a film, you know, they're just acting, right? But to have someone that's actually, you know, like, you know, even, I mean, Kumo D was in the film, him and his
Yeah,
guys, you know, like,
yeah.
you know, so like that was already what they did. They were rappers. So here they are, you know, rapping in the film. You know, Dougie Fresh is beatboxing in the film.
I remember the first time I mean, he was a kid and we were in the scene with the, you know, the where it's the first battle and they meet the biter, you know, us girls.
Uh-huh.
And I'm telling you, when he did his thing, I was like, what's happening? I'm like, it was like just amazing. And then when they did the Treacherous 3, right?
Yes.
And they did that with Cool Mo and LA Sunshine
Yeah.
and Special K and of
Yes.
course Dougie Fresh. I'll tell you this because it's just something I like to tell.
Okay.
When they did that scene, I was so blown away that the people at the table, you know, when you're sitting at a table, I couldn't see the act. So what I did is I had learned enough about camera. When I went on the break, when they said cut, I went to the restroom, and when they said rolling, I snuck back into a better advantage because I realized they were going back to one. I didn't have to be at the table.
Okay.
And if you look at that shot, you'll see me to the right of that table, which is camera left, looking with a look on my face like, you know, I mean, just beaming. Because I thought, wow, all these years I trained, this is like the perfect comedy and the dance and everything. It was just so thrilling to me. I
Wow.
all of it, but really, I was so blown away. Look at that frame. You'll see. I'm off to the right, looking at it, you know,
Uh-huh.
like a maniac, like, you know, because I love performance. You know, that's our lives. You know, that's the way we do it. We love to perform and we love to watch people perform. You
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
that's our lives. That's what makes us real to ourselves in the world. You know, doesn't matter what it is or how you do it. It just matters that you do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Now
that
let
was
me
something.
now let me ask you, do you have any were you able to have anything that you could take away, such as memorabilia from the film? Anything at all?
You know, I do. I have the original stills,
Okay.
and in a box here, I have the color slides.
Oh, nice.
And I have to go take them out and resurrect them.
Okay.
Someone nicked my Beat Street jacket, man. Someone
Ah!
got my jacket, and someone got my rainbow jacket. And you know, and somebody took my bomber jacket too. I think it might have been my brother,
Okay.
but I don't think so. I think somebody nailed it because he would be too small for it. But somebody nailed it. And so they,
Wow.
I hope it kept them warm. Yeah, but I do
Yeah.
have pictures and stills.
Okay.
Let me think. Is there anything else that I have? No, but Dean Elliott, who was in the film, who bit the can, he has the original script.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that
Nice.
cool?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Because what you all get copies of the script, right?
Yes, and
Okay.
you got copies of the script, and then you got dailies. So they would give you copies of just the stuff you were doing that day, so
Okay.
you wouldn't have to run a big honking script. And Dean
Wow.
has the whole script. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that something? You
That's
know.
amazing. That's amazing.
And
So
do you know about Drew's Scriptorama?
no, uh-uh.
Drew's Scriptorama is a webpage where they have the screenplays to many films.
Okay.
And if my memory is not misserving me, which, you know, at my age it could be, but I'm pretty sure they have the original Beat Street script up there.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you know what I'll do is I tell you what, I'll check it out and I'll send you a link. How's that sound?
That sounds great. That sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
To that, yeah, the Beat Street, because they have all these films on there, and I'm pretty sure Beat Street's up there too.
When we get the chance to meet in person, I got to get your autograph on some of my B Street memorabilia.
You got it. You got it. I've been practicing my Ramo and doing all the stuff I came up with, so I'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'll come out to Chicago. Next one we'll do live because I want to come out and visit Mr. Tony Wesley.
Okay. Yes.
By the way, he just had his show down in New Orleans and all that good stuff. He's doing great, and You Can't Erase Me. And
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So
shout out to Mr. Wave, the man himself. Yeah,
the man himself. I want to come to Chicago. Do you think I'm going to have a good time in Chicago?
Oh yeah, for sure. You come down to the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum, and we'll show you a great time here in the city.
I can't wait, man. I'm going to be there. Watch out. I'm outside. Thank you very much, and a great pleasure, and let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. I look forward to that because, again, like I said, we're at a point where now people are coming to understand and appreciate hip hop for what it really is. See, we got shunned a lot when we were coming up in the 80s.
Yes, you did.
A lot of people didn't believe in it. They didn't think it was going to last. They said it wasn't a real culture, but now they can't say that, and so now everybody wants a piece of the pie.
So true. And I think the thing what you said about when something is so radical and different from what came before it, you have so many people that want to kind of cherry pick it. And it's amazing because it was just too strong. It couldn't be unraveled, and it's still going strong.
Yeah. Man. Like I said, I think it will always be, like I teach in Chicago elementary schools. And sometimes when I talk to the kids, I always ask them about certain things that I feel that's important that they should know. And, I get shocked a lot, but I understand when I ask a young person, have you ever seen the movie Beat Street? And they be like, what is that? And then that's when I realized, okay, I know it's before your time, but this is something that if you love hip hop, you should be familiar with this film, And so, because I feel like today's hip hop is not the same as it was in the 70s and 80s. Things change, and everything, but I always feel like you got to go back to the beginning and understand how this thing has gotten to be where it's at today.
Very true. Very true. You have to know the fundamentals of where it comes from.
Yeah.
And then you see how much of it is built on the masters and how much you listen to this, like, oh, I get where that's coming from.
Right.
It was so much fun to me listening to it. It was always so amazingly full of power and entertainment and made you feel cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing makes you feel cooler,
Yeah.
You're in the car. It's amazing movement, amazing music.
So I
can't wait to come to that museum.
For sure, man. For sure. We'd love to have you. I'm gonna just acknowledge a few of these comments that have come in. Send a shout out to my home girl here. She says hello there. Yeah. Like people check in all the time and they make comments. Here's my other homegirl, Erin Joy. She says, wow, checking in. Then she says, living legend. Now this is my homeboy and partner. He goes by the name of Mr. RYC Live himself. He says, OMG. And then he says, Rep Your City, aka RYC Live is on fire. Wow. It's fire. And then he says, salute. He says to you, he says, thanks for sharing your journey, and we appreciate your time here on the show. Be sure to leave us an RYC Live drop. Thank you in advance.
I will do it.
Yes. And then he mentions, he said, I know the feeling of having a dope jacket stolen. I feel your pain.
Yeah, you know, sometimes jackets like that grow legs, you know.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
got legs and they come right out. But
yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Mentions hip hop is a way of life, which we know. You know, some people don't understand that, but it's the facts and reality, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this: what's one thing that you really enjoyed about you being a part of the project, the film?
Good question. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed getting to know my fellow cast members and hanging out with them, like because we did the film twice, so I got to do it again. And
Okay.
so a lot of the times when we were hanging out, I was having a great time. We were just really relaxed and easy with each other and very in tune with each other. Like when we're walking down the street, you know, the three of us, we had done it before. And so the second time around, it just felt so good. So that was one of my favorite things was working with Sean Elliott that played my dad.
Oh
I
yeah, he was
mean,
amazing.
oh man, he told
He
me
was
the first.
amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, what do you mean by you had to do it twice? Why did you have to do it twice?
Good question. The first director was the great Andy Davis, who did The Fugitive,
Oh, gotcha.
and for whatever reasons, um, Stan Latham came in and took over the job.
Okay, I see. And I think you
And
did tell me that before.
that's
So
right. And
okay,
and Andy is a wonderful, wonderful guy and a great director, and so is Stan. Stan was really, really amazing to me
yeah,
and guided me to. He told me things that really right away. You know, he gave right to the heart of what I needed to do to make the character come off the screen.
yeah,
Because you know how it is if you do something, you see some performers and their performance is it doesn't come off the screen, so they could be a villain, but you don't really feel it. There's something with something missing. He had the way of pointing out what you need to do very simply and directly. So he was great. They were both great.
okay. We had another comment come in from Marty Cruz. He says, "B Street changed my life at
Oh, wow.
13 years of age."
Wow.
So, also another one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I have a lot, but is when you and your girlfriend moved into the abandoned building
Yes.
with the baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
With my baby. My baby. Man, I used every bit of acting technique to make that rubber baby come alive. I'm telling you, I was selling that baby, I'll tell you. And then the baby inside was a different size. It was a little tiny baby, like, wow, take the kid, it was
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that was something. And then we went in um, but one of my favorite things is exactly the thing you mentioned to me
What's that?
when they pass me in the hall and I'm doing those letters
Uh huh.
and I look at him, I don't do anything and I keep on. That was Ramo. Like the
Okay.
guy walks in, he looks at him, acknowledges him, not really, just he keeps on working on those letters. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That I was like, wow, that really worked. But yeah, that was something. That baby, it was
Yeah.
cold too. I had that baby. The baby
Now,
was kind of small.
it just reminds me of a typical person that's into hip hop, and like I could tell, the way they put that, in the scene where you come over to visit, and the mother is complaining, she's speaking in Spanish, and she's like, a little T-shirt doesn't make up for anything.
Oh, wow. Incredible. Incredible. And the baby was like the calmest baby. She's what a great actress and so much passion.
Right.
And the baby, if you look, the baby's just looking at her like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And then looking around.
Yeah.
I would love to find out who and where who that baby has become that's maybe a quest I can find the name.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to say, you know, that you were my son, Julian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, that would be something. Yeah, I remember. I remember that, you know, watching the baby, you know, and the baby didn't cry.
That's
Baby was
amazing. That's
stone
amazing.
cold baby. It was like, you know, looked
Yeah.
over, you know, was a little nervous, the baby, you know, and woman screaming, you know what I mean? But
Right.
that baby had sand. It was like, okay, I can take you best.
Yeah, that would be interesting to connect with him because I'm sure he's grown now, but just the
Yeah,
idea that he was a baby back then in the film, you
yeah,
know, and everybody just played their role so well, you know, and that's why I say like when you all moved into the abandoned building, it just showed like you know when you love somebody. I like how they played that out. It doesn't matter, you know, where are going to go, but as long as you all could be together, you know what I'm saying. And then the friends coming along and like, hey, you know, us Puerto Ricans got to stick together, you know.
that's exactly, there we go. Dean Elliott, that's right. Us Puerto Ricans got to stick together. Yeah, Dean. Dean is a great guy and a very successful businessman and wonderful human being. His dad was a famous jazz dude that did a lot of arrangements for all kinds of people, including you know, some of the greats like Sinatra, and
Okay.
played a bunch of instruments. So yeah, that was him. He said that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was incredible.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that scene when I says, yeah, they got here a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something. And
Yeah.
then when you say there's a when Leon says mattress is fine, we tested it
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ourselves.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like I say, it's just like I tell you, I know the movie back with the back of my
I
head.
know,
Like,
right? That's incredible. That always made me like, wow, you know, we got the mattress from the street, brought it upstairs, and we tested it out too. Thanks.
right, right, right,
That was
right.
wild.
And then the concluding part with Melly Mel, you know, you know, I mean, like that whole ending part, and to have like a celebration of life, you know,
Yes.
and you know that part, and just have that whole showcase performance was just really cool, really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
Amazing. Yeah. And
yeah,
you know, because that was one of the things too, because I knew they were in the film and I had heard them as Tony Wave says, you know, it was on uh, uh, everybody's lips.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when I heard, oh yeah, they're going to be in the film you know, Melly Mel and Scorpio and they're, you know, Tommy Gunn,
yeah,
when you know, I knew that I was, very, very intimidated because I'm like, well, you know, you're going up against, it's like a gunfighter. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
you're a performer. You better carve out your space. Well, you know,
And
wow. I
and
knew the music would be good.
and did you know this? Melly Mel technically said I heard him give an interview. He technically said that he wasn't originally going to be in the film, but what had happened was the lines from those verses, the guy that they had originally had couldn't perform the verses correctly, and so they was just like, we got to bring Melly Mel on here. We got to incorporate him in it, and so
And what a performance.
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw that, you know, I saw that night and I just was blown away. It was a
yeah,
new kind of art, you know?
yes.
You know, it was so cool. It was so outrageous to
Okay,
see.
okay, so here's a comment from one of my homies. He's here in Chicago. He's from the North Side. He goes by the name of Breaker Ray. He says, "Good work, artistic, for bringing John Ramo, Chardiet, participant in this interview. A true pioneer to the culture. My favorite scene was when Ramo went to the rooftop to see the white train
Mhm,
come to the yard. I believe they
mhm,
called it the white elephant."
mhm, mhm. That's
Thank you.
right.
Thank you, Breaker Ray.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I remember. Yeah.
like I know that you know in New York at one time they had white trains, and that was just like the perfect canvas for a graffiti artist, right? You know, we didn't.
That's right.
We never had white trains in Chicago, but you know,
They had to change them up to the aluminum trains they have now because they were
right?
getting bombed and tagged, and people would go and put up burners and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, amazing to think that you'd be sitting on the station at 2 o'clock in the morning and a piece of artwork would roll up on you.
wow,
And then the yards, like the schoolyards with where handball was played, as you know, an element, right? And you have the graffiti, the big ones that were they were themed at so much
yeah,
passion. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Rare expression of art from the streets and from the outlaw art. Outside of the popular tastes, outside and in the very center of truth. It's just amazing to watch
yeah,
them perform
yeah.
truthfully.
You know, me and my wife came to New York in 2020, right at the brink of the COVID situation,
Yeah.
and we went down there to go visit the hip hop museum in the Bronx,
Yeah.
and then we also went to see the exhibit by Henry Chiffant.
Yeah.
And you know, he, like I said, he had a whole exhibit of subway art photographs that he had taken from 1977 to 1987.
Wow.
And I mean, people from all over the world were there to see his exhibit. And I mean, you know, like he caught some of the best pictures of those trains, which now, you know, if he hadn't documented it, if you wasn't there to see it, you wouldn't even knew it existed, right? You know,
Amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. It's art created for the riders of the subway to like or dislike,
Yep.
without apology. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it just made me realize, because I had some of my favorites, but it just made me realize how much of an impact. Again, like I said, that book came out in 1984, and that book was like a Bible for many of us. You know, it was the way that we kind of learned and developed. If you wasn't from New York, you know, how did you get connected to seeing the letter styles coming out of New York? You know, and at some point, you know, you got to study from someone, and then you begin to develop your own style.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just like I remember first time I really knew the difference between, wild style and, okay, look at those letters. It's wow, that's different. That's something different than the big block letters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so intricate and so complex. I felt like, wow, this is like Egyptian hieroglyphics in color.
Yeah.
And it really, Marvel is in New York City, Marvel Comics, and it influenced all of Marvel's art.
Yes. Like Marvel, all those, because those superhero characters were another thing that many of us used to draw.
That's right.
From the the comic book scene,
DC Comics. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and some of it would be incorporated in the pieces when they would do some of the characters before they developed their own characters. You would see a Superman or some of the famous characters, Spider-Man and stuff like that. You know, they came from the comics.
That's right. Or your Wonder Woman on that 1-6 train. I forget what the name of that one was. It had Wonder Woman in it.
Yeah.
Amazing, really. You look at, you have art influencing outlaw art, influencing mainstream art, and mainstream art influencing this kind of outlaw art. It's not the men and women who made that, the young men and young women and all ages, whoever made it, they were doing it. They didn't want any recognition. They weren't going to go to a gallery, and they were doing it in that massive a genius of explosive creation,
Okay.
and to identify themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Now, let me ask you, have you had, since the movie, we're talking 40 years ago, but since any time from that time up until now, have you ever had anyone come up to you and say, hey, that's Ramo?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have had. Of course, as the years pass by, but when I was younger, yes, all the time. And I remember there was a young fella, I think Charles Collins, he put up a post that he remembers meeting me in the 80s. I was down in Pennsylvania seeing a ladies' show down there, a classical theater piece. And I ran into these two fellows at the train station and we talked. And they recognized me and I asked them what they were doing because I always talk to people if they recognize it. And yes, people recognize me, you know, back then, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Okay.
Now, if I'm in a room with people of you know, who've seen the movie of my generation, yes.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and they say, "Hey, Ramo," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much. It's so nice to see people. When we did the Tribeca, there were a lot of nice people there, and I spoke to people. It was very nice to connect to people that really love the movie, and I thank everyone that loves the movie for keeping it alive. You know that I'm so proud of one fact. Very few actors get to have their character immortalized.
Yes.
And whether it's some of them are not necessarily approving immortalizations, it doesn't matter because, you know, Notorious B.I.G., you know, Suicidal Thoughts.
Yeah.
Ramo. 50 Cent, you know, Ramo.
Yeah.
Common, Beat Street, right? You know, so many, and some of them aren't necessarily, you know, some of them aren't, you know, praises. They're, you know, they're not, but it doesn't matter. It's in the culture's mind. It's in the public culture. And that was amazing to me, you know, Notorious B.I.G.,
Yeah.
you know, 50 Cent. I mean, yeah, you know, it's Hustler's Ambition, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I was so honored to have had that. You don't know. I mean, I remember it was a rap with Bella Caroli, and if you were flipping more girls than Bella Caroli, one of the old school raps. You remember that? I'm Bella Caroli now, man. I'm like, wow, great. What an honor, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Very
Well,
honored, very wonderful.
so what are you doing today? What's happening for you today?
Oh, thank you. A lot of stuff is happening right now.
Okay.
And I'm trying to pull things together, various things that I did in the past. I was a prolific author of children's books,
Okay.
and I have about 25 books published for Scholastic. They're all out of print now, but
Oh.
some of them were really good sellers. And Sam Viviano from Mad Magazine illustrated one of my books.
Oh.
And I tell you what, I'll send you a copy. Yeah, and I just spoke to him the other day, and I think
So
you know.
you're a published author.
Yes, I am. I have, yeah, children's books, and I did a lot. Thank you. Yeah, I did a lot of books to tape as well, which were the books, learning to read books. So there were other authors, but there were top flight books from Scholastic, like Clifford the Big Red Dog, for cassettes. So it says, when you hear this sound, remember to turn the page. Ding! And then they read the book and sound effects and music, you know. And then I did 3 albums, 3-hour-long albums of children's music.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I worked with James Coburn after 9/11. And I had Mr. Coburn, if you remember, In Like Flint, or all of those great movies. The Magnificent Seven, Snow Dogs? Great actor from the old days. And he narrated our Star Spangled Banner, and the Los Angeles Children's Choir sang it. And the Scholastic books put that out so the kids could feel a little more, you know, comfortable, you know, with the events. So I'm very proud of that. And so I'm bringing all those things back and dumping them around. And who knows? You know what I mean? I keep on working. There's stuff when I come to Chicago, we'll talk.
Yes.
I'll tell you what's going on when we come on a QT, because it's good stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what would you like to say in conclusion to any up and coming actors?
You know, not at the moment. I kind of stepped away from acting a while ago, but if there's anybody out there, do you want to give me a job? Go right ahead.
So my question though is, for those that may want to get in that field, what would be your words of advice?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Uh-huh.
And to put a, I think the most important thing is, um, don't wait for other people to empower you, because as an actor, uh, you go up for a commercial and it's a commercial for a product, and you lose sight of the reason you did it. Make films, do plays, learn new arts, learn hip hop, try to incorporate other types of forms together, be on the leading edge of creation. Don't become a job hunter, because then you're going up for, I once went up for a talking nostril for a commercial.
Oh
A
wow.
talking, they auditioned me. For, I mean, for a talking nostril, and the guy directed me. I mean, he told me, he said, okay, he says, listen, your nostril's not active enough. Give it a character. I'm like, my nose, my nostril, you know what I mean? Give it a character. Have it act, have it do something. And then he shot my nose. No joke, true story. And in acting, I'll send it to you, and if you'd like. I did a lot of different types of roles. I played werewolves. I played Neanderthal men in a couple of things. I played Igor with Tiger Woods in a Buick Rendezvous commercial, where
Okay.
he would say, "What were you expecting, Igor?" In the turnaround, I came with the thing on my back and the eye with the makeup I had French. I said, "What were you expecting, Tiger Woods?" I'll
Oh,
send
okay.
you a clip when I
Okay.
pull it
Okay.
down.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I did a lot of that kind of specialty work and really enjoyed doing it. Um, and so I worked until, for a long time, and then I raised a family. And
Nice.
like you, I'm a teacher.
Nice. Are you currently
Yeah.
still in New York?
I moved to San Pedro, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where I enjoy the weather and the whole scene. The sunshine is nice. Huh?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No,
Yes. Well,
yes.
that's wonderful, man. I again, I tip my hat to you. I
Thank you.
thank you for your contributions. Again, I think B Street, the movie B Street, will be forever embedded in our hearts. And
Thank you.
now that we're connected, hopefully I could keep up with some of the other projects that you're working on, and everything. Look forward to
That's
some
great.
of the, yeah.
And I'm gonna watch you every week. I got it on my counter right now. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Friday night, so I'm gonna send my comments in.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's up, man. Well, hey, man, listen, I look forward. I'll be coming. Well, you just said you live in California, but I will be visiting New York next year because they're going to be opening up the brand new hip hop museum next year. So yeah, I'll be out there to visit to see that.
Well, I'll make sure that I put that on my calendar when I find out where it is, and I'm coming to Chicago before then. So you better get ready.
Yeah, I look for. All you got to do is hit me up. Just hit
I
me
will do
up,
it.
and we have plans.
I can't wait. That's gonna be fun.
So listen, man, it was a great honor and privilege to sit here and talk. And I'm going to make sure I keep all my memorabilia and to keep it preserved so that when we connect, I can get your autograph.
I'm practicing. I'll practice every day until I hit the memorabilia, and I'll bring some of my own stuff from here,
Okay,
and we'll enjoy ourselves, and we'll do a session in the same room. How's that sound?
that's cool. That's cool. That's really,
I
really
love that.
great.
That'd be
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Fantastic.
thank you once again, man.
Thank you.
I'm glad you was able to finally get on here. I was a little concerned because I was like, man, what's happening? And that's why I do the hour test, just so that people could get, because sometimes people have challenges getting on, you know.
Yes, and for me, it's got to be a 6-hour test. But I know, I was like, oh man, I'm fumbling, I'm looking, at Central Time, I'm pushing, I'm, and then at one point it just died. These phones, and so yeah, I'm googling and googling and googling, and then I'm like, googling ain't working. I'm gonna go to YouTube, and I went to YouTube, and I got on, and it dumped off, and you're like, yo, we got 9 minutes left. I said, 9 minutes. Yeah, that was something. But I'm glad I'm starting to learn how to do it. Next time I'll start it a little earlier, so I don't have the same things. And I think next time I'm replacing my my internet connection because it's so bad on the computer that I have to use the
Oh,
phone.
I see.
Next time I'll see you in person. So what's the difference, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey,
Okay, my brother. Well, hey, you enjoy
thank
your
you.
evening. And
Thank
once
you.
again, thank you once again for everything. I'll send you the link to this entire episode, and that way you can
Please do.
share it on your page. Let other people know if they didn't get a chance to tune in live, they could always watch the playback of it.
I will do so right away.
Yeah. All right, my
Thank
brother.
you.
Peace out and enjoy your evening.
You too, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
No problem. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.